emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have been provided on the website of the board at timberlane.net/Zoom TRSB. If anybody has a problem, please call 382-6541, extension 3955. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
Brian Boyle.
I am here. I am alone in the room, and there are other family members in the home.
Lee Doobie.
I am here. I am in my vehicle, and I am due to arrive home shortly where I will be alone.
Kim Farah.
I'm here, I'm alone in the house.
Barbara Kishka.
I'm present. I'm alone in the residence.
Sheila Lowe's.
Here, alone in the house.
Sarah Mockamer.
I'm here. I am alone in my office, but there are other family members in my house.
Sean O'Neill.
He's absent.
Kristen Savage.
Absent.
Jennifer Silva.
I am here alone in my office with other household members in the home.
And Dr. Cochran.
I am present, alone in the room, but there is another family member in the house.
Okay, thank you. Can you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And tomorrow is Veterans Day. I'd like to thank all the veterans that are out there.
Thank you for your service, Dr. Farah.
You can't see it, but I have my American flag tie on, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. All right, so I want to move on. This is a special meeting. Based on conversations last week, I felt that there were some things that we should continue to apprise the public on regarding our school reopening plan and where we stand. As you know, on October 1st, the board tasked the administration to develop and implement a plan to transition to a 4-day in-school model of instruction. Currently, pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade are on a 4-day school model. On October 15th, the administration reported to the board that they reviewed the factors that need to be considered as we try to transition to 4 days. The limiting factors included staffing, accommodation, space restrictions, bus capacity, and the logistics for lunches and snacks. The administration is continuing to address these factors for a full return to school, but it does not appear that we can move to a 4-day in-school model of instruction on December 7th, which is the end of the first trimester. As such, it's anticipated that the district will remain in the current model through the end of the first semester for high school students, which is what date? This is the information I was looking for.
Dr. Farah, the end of the first semester is January 29th. First trimester, or second trimester, I should say, for up through 8th grade is December 7th, but the semester for the high school goes through January 29th.
Okay, thank you. So I guess in short, we do not have plans to move to a 4-day model at this point, except I would, and this is why I wanted Mrs. Kanotis on, could you speak to the lower grades? Because I know those are a little bit different. I think you have some plan for 2nd through 5th.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we, although we are still planning and preparing for if our metrics and all of our considerations allow us to move on December 7th for the second trimester for 2 through 5. If we can't, we do plan to continue the phase in that we have been doing, where we're phasing in grade level groups. Our second survey closes tomorrow at noon. And so by the end of the day, we should have all of our numbers up for parent choice. And the initial survey that was missing 327 responses from the elementary level indicated 53 students who are moving from remote only to cohort. So we want to make sure that we can accommodate all those students and keep our distancing. So that's just what we need to review one more time. And by the end of the week, we should have all of that.
Okay, so in summary, it looks like you will probably be able to move the elementary grades into 4 days a week, but the middle and high school right now, we do not anticipate transitioning off of hybrid model until probably the end of that first semester, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
That is
accurate.
correct.
Yep.
Okay, and that, again, that's all based on where the metrics are. And as I said last time, I think you really need to think of this as 3 metrics. You need to think about the community transmission rate. You need to think about where we stand on staffing. And then you also need to think about what our local transmission rate is. So those things are all being factored in when they make a decision. And just to let you know, just because the board is saying this tonight, if all of a sudden we had an outbreak in one of the towns or the schools and it appeared we had large community transmissions, we would have to move to a remote model. But I thought it was important to share for everybody, and I think there are a lot of people on here, that this is what we're looking at going forward. We don't anticipate middle and high school moving back to a 4-day-a-week until the end of the first semester. We still have some logistical issues to work out. That being said, I want to transition to the next item on the agenda, which is the HVAC update.
And just real quick.
Oh,
Kim,
go ahead, Barbara.
So I just wanted to reiterate that the ones that are going back 4 days a week, we were able to get, when we have to go down to 3 feet, it's still with masks on. Anything where we don't have masks on, we're still at a higher social distance, correct?
Yeah, so we are waiting just on working out a final plan for Pollard to be able to accommodate that. The other schools, we have been able to put a plan in place that will be eating 6 feet apart.
And so I was just going to ask, are we still planning for secondary to be back 4 days as soon as we are possibly able to figure that out?
Yes.
Or are we
Yes,
hard
Jen.
fast with after first semester?
No, the planning is ongoing and will continue. But yeah, as Dr. Farah said, we're looking at the metrics as well, and it'll be an ongoing discussion. But the original plan had the 3 models. And so we continue to look at those different limiting factors to try to determine how we can work around them, or if and when we can bring everyone back.
Dr. Farah's summary of the limiting factors that we're still struggling with was pretty much smack on. So we know that we have made a lot of progress in terms of what we can control. Building administration has been very supportive and spending a lot of time to try and work with us to try and look at these issues. But the busing, class sizes, lunches, those are the same things that we're still working away at. So this is not a plan that has been dropped. We are still working on it. At this point in time, we still have not problem solved around all of those limiting factors. But we will continue to work on that as we move forward.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the update on the HVAC. At our last meeting, we discussed the fact that we would be going out for an RFP for HVAC systems and that we would be having American Test and Balance come in to take a look at our systems. They did come in on Friday. There was a quite lengthy discussion. They toured 4 of the buildings in the area. They reviewed the RFP. They felt that the RFP was not sufficient enough for their company or any company to bid on. Since the vote last meeting to hire a consultant, the consultant has just drafted a new RFP, which I just received. I have not sent this out to the board. It's in draft form, for room air change testing and assessment of air handling equipment. Based on the company that came out, which is a certified company that has certified technicians, this is American Test and Balance. They felt that the testing that was done was insufficient to make a determination based on, and I don't want to get too technical, what if the systems were up and running at 100% and what the dampers were, and various other factors that they needed to know. So the RFP has been rewritten. We will be looking to do all 440 rooms in the 9 buildings in the 4 towns. And it will look at all the HVAC units. It will look at variable air volume, damper controlling, the number of air changes per hour, and give us an idea of where we stand, and then potentially rebalancing these systems. We're looking to have a successful bid and work completed, or at least work is going to begin as soon as possible after the date of the award. The bidders have to be certified, in this case, by the National Environmental Balancing Bureau or the Associated Air Balance Council. And there'll be certification required for that. I do not think the company that was used previously was certified in this aspect. So are there any questions on that? I think once the RFP is out of draft form, we can send it forward to the board just for your information. Barbara?
Dr. Farah, did you want me to explain to people what balancing is with respect to HVAC? Frozen up,
I
so
mean, you
think
can,
I'll-
and basically what can happen is,
I'll take that as
my
a
understanding
yes
is if you have
from
2
the,
rooms side by side, you could
technology
have one
gods.
room having 8 air exchanges. What?
Right. Let me follow up and just wrap up that. So when air is brought in a large duct or vent, it's then distributed out, and that the level of distribution from one room to another is determined by dampers, either inflow or outflow dampers. And so we had significant cases where we had one room who was well over the 3 turnovers an hour, and the room next to it was under. And so one of the reasons that we've gotten in touch with American Test and Balance is really both to test the overall airflow, but in order to do that, you know, once we get those results, we'll have a chance to balance that flow out and equalize. They're also looking at so we have the mechanical plans ready on the classroom schedule, so it won't disrupt school. We've listed all the equipment out, and the project schedule would be a progress report on December 30th with detailing work and associated costs completed to date. Completed ASAP, and bidders, as mentioned, have to be certified by the NEBB or the Associated Air Balance Council, AABC. So essentially it's the testing, so we can look at the balancing, and then the SIP committee is also looking at if and when we find deficiencies, you know, what is it we can address before weather, what is it that we can do internally, and hopefully redress issues as best we can.
Hi, Kim.
Barbara, go
Just
ahead.
one red flag is when somebody writes an RFP, sometimes they write it for like one company, and I'm just hoping that there's at least 2 companies that will respond to the RFP. I mean, are they making it so that there's only one around the area that can actually fulfill it?
No, we can speak to that. But we posted the RFP, and the one company that expressed interest came in and basically gave us feedback on the RFP, by which we've changed it. And the conversations were around, is this an RFP that is sufficiently detailed so that we would achieve just that? People would know exactly what it is, what their costs would be, and be able to cost it out. So the change was made, in fact, to make this available and attractive to more people, not fewer.
Okay, so the acceptance criteria is clearer.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Correct. My understanding was that the company that looked at this, they couldn't bid it out because it was not detailed enough for them to be able to make a valid bid on this RFP as it was written. So, like I said, when this draft is worked through, I'll send it out to board members and you can compare it to what we had for an RFP. Barbara, I think that will answer your question. Okay, last item on the agenda, I need to address the fact that I was in error, and the school board, I failed to, on 11/4, the school board met in a work session with the administration to discuss personnel matters. And as you know, the board regularly convenes in non-public for such discussions. Unfortunately, I failed to properly post the meeting on 11/4, and I didn't use the district Zoom link, which resulted in the meeting not being open to the public. Although the board did not make any decisions or take any actions on the 4th, I want to start by apologizing to the public and the other board members for this mistake. Second, I want to publicly recap the meeting's discussion in an effort to substantially comply with the law. And then finally, I want to ask the board to formally approve the minutes from that meeting, which contain a notation at the beginning, which acknowledges that the chair did not convene a proper meeting, but the board is nonetheless adopting the minutes in the spirit of compliance, and that these substitute minutes shall be available to the public as soon as the board approves these minutes. So that being said, the minutes reflect, and the board members have these in their packets, that we discussed the school reopening plan and that the board had requested the administration to plan on return for students at the end of the first trimester. And there was concern that there was no hybrid option made available to parents. And Mrs. Allaire and Dr. Cochran spoke to the difficulty of having 3 models, the remote, hybrid, and fully in school operating at the same time. And the administration discussed the obstacles to having all students in the schools, including the issues surrounding the cafeteria and meals. And so it's not yet possible to have all the students at the middle and high school and still maintain a social distance of 6 feet without masks, especially during the lunch period. And they're continuing to explore those options. This was the discussion on the 4th. Administration spoke to their decision as to why they went remote at the beginning of the week due to the trending upward in Rockingham County. The board also discussed in that work session this SAU reorganization. The current organization of both the SAU and Timberlane administrations was discussed. The board was reminded that the withdrawal committee had developed a list of positions for the new SAU. And one of the first positions that was suggested to be filled was the business administrator. I informed the board that there was that an interview had been set up with members of myself, Dr. Cochran, Dr. Martin, who's our financial consultant, and Karen Steele, who is a community member and member of the withdrawal committee. And Dr. Cochran indicated that part of his goals for the administrative year or school year was to look at the administrative structure and function. And he also expects to look at some staffing metrics as part of that process. There was discussion that centered on the roles of the deans in the current structure and why there are currently 3 deans in place when there used to be 6. And the administration discussed the role of the deans in their current teaching load. And board members discussed the old model that was using head teachers in places of the deans. So this is a summary of the minutes from that meeting. Board members, you do have these minutes. So I am looking for the board to approve those minutes.
Okay, before you do that, I move to accept the apology from the chair for failing to properly post and convene a non-public meeting. To accept the public process tonight proposed by the chair as a substitute for the meeting on November 4th which was held in public, and to affirm that the board will not conduct any future meetings without proper notice to the public in accordance with RSA 91-A.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Thank you for your accepting my apology. I do apologize. Okay, Kat, could you take the roll call, please?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Mr. Doobie,
Abstain.
Dr. Farah,
Abstain.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Neill, still not here. Mrs. Savage,
He's-
not here. And Mrs. Silva.
I would like to abstain because I missed the whole first part of that meeting.
Okay. I don't remember my rules of order. What is the vote count here?
So right
That's
now,
why I was like,
well, you only have 3 yeses right now.
Three yeses and 4 abstentions.
So it's 304. Anybody remember Robert's rules on abstentions? They count as
nothing. They don't
They count
towards
as
the
nothing,
vote.
so the motion passes. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah.
Now
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the 11-4 minutes as written.
Second.
any discussion?
oh, Kim, I'm so sorry. I thought that motion was on the minutes. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't.
Can you redo that vote count? Can we do that? Can I change my vote?
Not technically necessary. It passed.
We can revote the motion, I think, can't we? Let's leave the motion as is, Jen.
Yeah, let's,
Just as soon, not have a procedural error here.
That's fine. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yep.
Okay, so now we are voting on the approval of the minutes. Kat?
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Mr. Doobie,
hang on a minute. Sorry, but did I get a second?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Doobie abstained, you said?
Yes,
Yes.
he abstained.
Dr. Farah,
Yes.
Mrs. Kishka,
Yes.
Ms. Lowe's,
Yes.
Mrs. Mockamer,
Abstain.
no Mr. O'Neill, no Mrs. Savage, Mrs. Silva.
Abstain.
You sure?
Yeah, that one I'm sure on. I'm so sorry, guys.
Okay. And just to let the board know, I anticipate that we will be holding a non-public session next Wednesday.
So a week from Wednesday, not tomorrow, right?
Right, a week from Wednesday.
Am I needed for that?
No,
Okay.
I'll make sure the minutes get taken. We'll open in a public session and then we'll go immediately move to a non-public session. I don't anticipate any action at that meeting.
No.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Don't forget there's a board meeting next Thursday,
17th,
the 19th, right?
19th? I don't even know what day it is. Okay.
Well, it's next Thursday. All right, have a good rest of the week. Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.